you ready to make technology work for you? Tune in to Act on Tech, the podcast where we break down the latest tech trends and show you how to boost your productivity at home and in your business. So, subscribe to Act on Tech today and visit alexcustomtech.com to see how we can take your business to the next level. That's Act on Tech, your guide to smarter tech for a smarter business. Alex Custom Tech, IT means integrity and trust.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Act on Tech. I know it's been a couple of weeks. I've been deep in some voice over IP project and upgrades for here at Alex Custom Tech, but today we're going to get into a very important topic: email attacks. Whether you're running a business or just checking your inbox at home, this is something that you need to understand because of the scammers, and they're getting really smart. Okay, so we're going to define the terms like I normally do, right? And explain the terms clearly so you can understand. So you have phishing attacks, right? And phishing is when a scammer sends a fake email pretending to be a trusted company like Amazon, PayPal, or Bank of America or something like that, one of your banks, right? You click on it, right? And enter sensitive information like your password or whatever. Like I told you before, like sometimes they'll create a website that looks exactly like the Amazon or PayPal or whatever, and you just online doing what you normally do. You go on there, you put information in, and voila, them get your information. Then they might redirect you to the actual regular site. So that's a phishing attack. So you have to. I'm gonna talk to you guys about how to recognize these phishing attack emails and how to deal with that. Now, spoofing is when a scammer makes an email looks like it came from someone you trust, like your mother, your brother, or something like that, right? Even though they didn't come from them, and they didn't tell you we're gonna email you or anything like that. So that one we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about malware. Malware stands for malicious software. It's often hidden in attacks like a link in an email, or where they can steal data, until you pay a ransom. So this is kind of where the ransomware comes from. So you click on. So that normally starts with you get an email which has a link in it. You click on the link. Then it downloads something to your computer, locks up your computer, right? And then the only way for you to get access back to your computer, you have to pay a ransom to these people for them to open it back up again. There's ways around it, of course. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But like I said, this podcast that I do here at Act on Tech is to give you guys this information. Say you don't have an IT guy with you, have someone like me or someone out in the organization that you can rely on. You really should have someone you can turn to that understand these terminologies and what's going on in the world and have the ear to the ground when it comes to IT. But if you don't, hopefully I'll cover it in one of these episodes here at Act on Tech, right? So, it's good to have somebody here, okay? Now, how to recognize these things. So let's talk about red flags, right? These are things you watch for every time you get an email. So you have to train yourself. Every time you get an email, you want to check for these things. Like I do this so often now, I don't even know I'm doing it. And everything in life practice becomes perfect. So here are red flags, right? Urgent tone. When nobody sends an email to you where you have to do something right now. Nobody that's not trying to get something from you, right? It's kind of my issue I have with call to action in marketing, but that's a different topic. But to me, nothing is that important, okay? And I talk to my wife about this sometimes, and we go back and forth with this because she tends to think that some things are, and it's very rarely I think something is important and something is dire or something needs my immediate attention. If it can't wait, then I'm not taking part in it. I don't like anybody or anything dictating to me what I should or should not do and when I should or shouldn't do it. So urgent tone in an email. it's a big red flag, right? Email says your account is suspended. Act no. Slow down. Scammers want you to panic and click fast, right? That's what they want. A weird email address. This is like the number one thing I look for. PayPal at .org or PayPal at .ms or PayPal at google.com. That's not where PayPal is from, right? So that's where it's funny. Something about this long stretched out different bunch of characters at Gmail, right? So check the sender. Always check the sender. See, it may look like PayPal is actually sending you an email, but it says PayPal at security.hotmail. Okay, that's not PayPal. That's somebody who created a Hotmail account, attached PayPal to the front of it, and sent it to you with an email that looks exactly like a PayPal email, and you click on it thinking that that's what you need. All right, generic greeting. Real companies use address by your name, dear, or red flags. So, when the companies usually addresses you by your name, and these company and this person don't know your name, so they say dear customer instead of saying hey, Alex or John or whatever, because they know your name because they have your information. So why would they not call you by your name, right? All of a sudden AT&T is calling you hey customer, that's kind of a red flag, right? Suspicious links. However, hover over links like before clicking. Don't just click on it. Just take the mouse, hover over the link, see because when you hover over the links, because how do I say this? Links are embedded. You can embed a link in a word, right? So you can say click here, right? But then the link is attached to the word. It's kind of, I don't know what the word is, what the terminology for it is, but it's embedded in the word. So when you hover over the word, it'll tell you the full URL for the link, and you'll be like, oh, this is suspicious, right? Because companies have .com, and that again, look, you must know or be comfortable, or look at the normal email from Amazon, the normal email from PayPal, the normal email from the companies you do business with, and then recognize those. And when you recognize these other ones that are mimicking those companies, you'll be like, oh, that's suspicious. All right. Attachments. Never click on attachments unless you know you're getting an attachment. Okay. That's one of the ones that get people, all of my customers, when something does happen, this is kind of one of the reasons why it happens. They get an attachment, they open it up, and voila, their computer is locked up and they can't get it, and I gotta pay ransom. Right? So attachment. Be wary of especially .xcx file, exe files, .zip file, or .docx file. No. Unless you know you're getting this, unless you know somebody's sending this to you, right? If you don't know, don't click it. If somebody even send it to you, okay, it's another thing that happens sometimes. Somebody will send it to you, but you didn't ask for it. Just call them and be like, hey, Bob, did you send me an email about, whatever? Or you send me an email attachment, and you'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you I did that, whatever. And you can open it. But if he didn't send you that email, right? No, don't open it. That's a problem. Now, even though these things are really scary, I mean, in a sense, right? There's ways around it. So say this does happen. If you do what I talked about before, as far as backing up your computer incrementally, or have a backup solution, this really matters. Because when it do go get your stuff and they do lock your computer up, you can just tell them, okay, go pound sign, and then you go back and you get a new version of your computer off to the races. Now, as far as your identity, or if you put information in and now they get you can call your bank up and say, hey, I was, this happened, close this account, give me a new account. You can do that. And you can, like I told you, when you have one of those, one of those services that protects you and your identity, they'll give you alerts when anything nefarious happens. So if you have those combinations of what we talked about before, this is not so scary as I am rolling it out right now. right? So, attachment. Poor grammar and spelling. Say the person from another country that doesn't know English that properly. When you're reading the letter, it looks kind of like disjointed, and you kind of get the gist of what they're saying, but they're obviously not comfortable with English. Which is weird that that's happening now because of ChatGPT, so they really should be running through ChatGPT, get it wording properly, and then send the email. But if that's not the case, this is suspicious. All right. Now, what to do if you suspect an attack? All right. Don't click on links or open anything. Report it to your email provider. So Gmail, Hotmail, whoever manages your mail server at your organization, your IT team, your MSP. Delete the email, of course, definitely. Enable two-factor authentication to all your accounts. We talked about this before, right? Use antivirus software to scan and check and click. Use antivirus to check the emails. There's antivirus on certain email accounts like Gmail, that kind of stuff. You can do that to check the email. All right, it's very important. Like I said, these are things you can do to minimize, to protect yourself, home and in business. This is a good practice to have in general. Once you're online, once you're using computers, once you're checking your emails, this is a good practice to start doing and train and practicing. I do things with transportation, and I'm Smith's system certified, and one of the things that there's a lot of things that they teach you in the Smith system to teach drivers is that you have these new techniques that if you practice them, they'll help prevent you from having an accident. But you have to like retrain your brain to adapt these new habits, and that's kind of what we're talking about here. We're trying to have like a email etiquette, if you will. So you do these things whenever you're looking at your emails. You do these things whenever you're going through emails. I'm guilty of having a ton of emails right now in my email accounts. It's like ton of them, and I'll take like a Friday or a Saturday and I'll go through my emails. But I've been doing this so long that I know to check the email address. I know that if this is not something that I was anticipating coming, I'm not gonna open it. Or if somebody who I know sending me something and they didn't talk to me during the week, I like, oh, listen, Bob or Jim or whatever, did you send me this? And that's those things that I do protects me from these attacks, right? And again, like I said, I have all the systems in place. I have the two-step authentication. I have Aurora on my system that protects my identity. If anything happens, I get red flagged. They let me know that, hey, somebody's using a name in Kazakhstan, so I know that. Like, these things are just there as layers, as a form of protection, so that I know how to navigate the space. So, like I said, it's very important. Okay, so email attacks are one of the oldest tricks in the book, but they also are one of the most effective. A lot of people set up an email account, they don't get this training, so they are vulnerable to this. In IT and in security, we talk about if you have secure, the more secure you are, the less convenient you are. The more convenient you are, the less secure you are. If you train your staff and your family members and teach them these habits, it will reduce or eliminate them being bamboozled by this stuff. So it's really up to us to teach this. That's kind of why I'm doing the podcast. Again, I'm here trying to create trust and try to generate up more business for my company, but at the same time, I am conveying these things, which is powerful, which is knowledgeable for you guys to use. You're not paying me to hear this, so I mean, if you take nothing away from these podcasts, and I don't think I'm the most entertaining person in the world, but what I'm saying is facts. Like, these things are very important. Like, really and truly, like, I would love it if these hackers really go out of business. Like, these guys are nefarious. Like, the idea of you being in a country and calling or sending some old lady an email about, our son being in jail or something goofy, right? And then she panics and she sends you a whole truckload of money, and you can sleep at night. That's just wrong. Again, and I'm not trying to be the Mr. Moral here, but I mean, come on, you want money, you work for it. Okay, them is the rules. Okay, they make the rules up, but that's the rule. You want to earn a living, you go out and earn a living. You don't trick somebody into taking money from somebody by tricking them, by lying and being manipulative. I am really anti this. So I didn't want this podcast or this show to be about hacking and trying to defer hackers, because that's not what I really do on a day-to-day basis. I do have to teach this stuff to my clients to prevent, them from getting hacked. But at the same time, I do like networking and setting up computers and networks and IP. On APs and cameras. That's my passion, right? But I can't ignore this. This is happening on a day-to-day basis, and I have to address it. So please take the time out to study these warnings and these red flags, and train yourself into trying to avoid these things from happening. Because again, this is totally preventable, right? And if you have a rollout, I'm gonna actually do a white paper on this. But if you roll this out in your organization, the people that you have there will keep doing this. It will become a cultural thing, and when new people come on, they'll learn how to do it, and then you eliminate or reduce the chance of you getting hacked. Now again, if that does slip through, you do get a computer locked up. If you're backing it up incrementally, like we talked about in previous podcasts, you can pull up a new system and not pay these guys any money and keep it moving. So yes, there is ways around this stuff if stuff should happen. There's ways to dig yourself out of the hole, in a sense. But how much money are you going to lose because the computer is down, or you might not have to pay the ransom, but you got to pay me to come in there and restore everything. You got to pay your IT guy to come in, and he's not going to be cheap. He might not be as much as the ransom, but he's going to need some money too. So again, to avoid all that from happening, exercise these practices. These practices are very good for you to exercise and keep in your business. So that's what I'm saying. And if you run a small business and want help setting up spam filters and email protection, or just securing your system, reach out to us here at Alex Custom Tech. IT means integrity and trust, like I would talk about before. That's kind of what my motto is, like integrity and trust. Okay, I'm hoping that I'm living up to that. I've had bad experience with clients off late. Okay, one of my biggest clients that I work for in Canada sent me some weird email about one of the invoice being paid automatically. My invoice don't pay automatically. So unless you set up the unless you set up the account to pay the invoice automatically, like maybe say you have a MSP set up with us, I don't take the money every month automatically unless because you have a portal, right? So you in the portal, you can set up how you want to pay me. You can set up every month, or you can say, no, I'll go in and pay myself every month. But I guess one of their staff did it, and it went through, and then they reach out to me and say, hey, your system charged me. And I'm like, no, because I don't really touch the automating system. I set that up and I leave it. I just really and truly, my focus is just the work, right? So when I got the email from that client, which is a big client I have in Canada, and I got an email from a client saying, I want you to look into this because this was charged without recharging it. We don't do that. We want to pay it ourselves. And I'm like, well, my system doesn't do that unless you okay it. I'll look into it and then I'll get back to you. I looked into it, and lo and behold, somebody on their staff paid it. Click for it to be paid. And I'm like, bro, your staff member did this. So this is on you. And my fact, going forward, I don't want you guys to do more business with you guys anymore. And that's kind of how I handle my business. So, again, it's just one of those things. Like, I don't really want any drama in my business and all that kind of stuff, because I'm a pretty straightforward person, I'm a pretty stoic person, and I'm a pretty serious person. But when it comes to these hackers and these phishing situation and these like nefarious acting, I have no tolerance for it. So like I said, I did not want podcasts to be about security all the time, and I didn't want it to be about this stuff all the time. But again, this I'm passionate about, and I want to drill this home, because I would love to have a client that I'm not doing this because this is like they got this covered. I think that would be awesome if I have a client that I'm not I'm not saying I won't help you guys with this. I'm just saying it would be wonderful if you guys listen to the podcast and have a system in place on your own and handle this. And I'm just adding on to it, in opposed to like outing this fire, right? Because this is a big fire. Not that I wouldn't help you do it. It's just that this is a fire that doesn't need to happen, if it making any sense. So yeah, that's what that is. So like I said, as a recap, so you got phishing attacks via email, spoofing attack via email, and malware. And we talked about what phishing was. Phishing is when the scammer sends you a fake email pretending to be a trusted company like Amazon, PayPal, or your bank, right? And they want you to click and enter sensitive information in there. That's what they're phishing. They're phishing for your information. Now, spoofing is when the scammer makes an email look like a company or someone. I'm a company. As someone you trust. It's spoofing you. Look like Jim, your brethren, or whatever, your business partner. They make it look like their email, and then this. Let me see. You make it look like someone you trust, even though they didn't send you an email. And then that's kind of how that kind of works. And you have your legendary malware, where they send you a malicious software in the email. So all it means is a link to something else. You get the email with a link, you click on the link, you download the application, it installs on the computer. 9 times out of 10 it's a ransomware. It shuts the whole thing down. You can't do anything. All kind of bells and whistles rushes up on the computer, and it's telling you can't get the computer back or access to your computer until you call this number. And that's how that works. And what bothers me about the malware, that's like a business. Like, you call, you get a reception, you get a receptionist, they transfer you over to some booth, and some guy in a cubicle talk to you like it's a customer service type deal. That's how this is. It's ridiculous. And I don't get me started on this. But you can avoid it by not clicking on the link unless you're getting something from someone you know. And again, if you are not sure, you can always call the person and say, "Hey, Jim, did you send me this?" Or if you don't know the company, don't click on it. You don't have to click on it. You're not gonna lose anything by not clicking on it. I get one of the most annoying things for me in doing in this space, and I hope somebody who's one of these people listening to the podcast, I don't want you to call me and offer me any business. I don't want that. As far as like you want to offer me a service that I can give to my clients. I don't if I want a VoIP system, I'll create it myself, or I'll set it up myself. If I want a security system, I'll do it myself. If I want a monitoring system, I'll get it myself. I don't need anybody calling me and telling me you can use this or you can. I'm not into that. I'm not that kind of businessman. All right? No, if I want something, I'll go looking for it. If I don't go look for it, I don't want it. You cannot convince me to buy something that I never wanted to buy. I'm not one of those kind of people. I hate the whole sales thing. Okay, right? No, if I'm interested in something, if I want something, I'll go hunting for it. If I'm not hunting for it, I'm not interested in it. So don't open emails from these salespeople with these offers. No, don't do that. Don't look at that. Don't deal with that. You don't need to look at that. Right? If you're interested in something, you can go Google it and you can go look into it. And then when you go Google it and then you type your email address in there because you really want information from them, that's when you deal with that. And that's how you do it. Right? So again, if you have any questions about these kind of things, need help, and you don't have an IT guy yourself, want to reach out to us here at Alex Custom Tech, right? Go to the website and send me an email, info@alexcustomtech.com, and we can set something up for you or set up an appointment or something like that. All right. But if you take nothing away from this podcast, remember, follow these things when you're looking at your emails, right? Don't let this be one of the fires after out. Again, your IT team can definitely help you with this if you do the other things that we talked about with the monitoring service and backups. You can recover from this, but it's still downtime. You can prevent having the downtime altogether by following these things. Okay, all right. Like I always say, stay productive.